Okay, so now we are going to look at actually harmonizing this piece of harmony. Okay, so let's get going. And like I said in the previous video clip, what helped is if you first just quickly write out the bass part, because that's also going to help you with the voice leading and to avoid big leaps, but also to decide where you are going to use inversion. Okay, so let's get going. The one part I think that I'm going to just quickly harmonize as a whole is this passing progression that I have at the beginning. Okay, so let's see. So I already had the 3-2-1 at the top, so the bass and the figuring actually indicates what we're going to have in the bass. So I am going to have 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to just have one long bass note there. Okay, so I have 3-2-1, 1, 2, 3, and then of course I've got my 5-5-5, and I'm going to put the 5-5-5 here in my alto. Now you're welcome to, instead of using crotchets there, also use minims, or a minim rather. And here I'm just going to have a minim, and then all that's left is the 8-7-8, and that is going to be then over here 8-7-8. Okay, so my first two bars are basically done. Okay, so now I'm just going to quickly fill in the bass and make sure that I don't have any parallels between the bass and the soprano, and just to check that I don't have excessive leaps. Okay, so chord 4, what I can suggest is, and you probably do this, is that on your piece of rough paper that you just write out all the various chords. So chord 1 is going to be D, F sharp, A. Chord 2 is going to be E, G, B. Okay, but I'm just going to do it in my head. So chord 4 is A, C, E. What am I thinking? G, G, B, D. Okay, so I'm going to have a G there. And then chord 2, of course, is E, F sharp, G. So I can have my E there, but I'm going to run into trouble here with that leap. I don't really want that big leap. So I'm going to try and make the leap a bit smaller, and that's why I put this in first inversion. And chord 5, of course, is A, C sharp, E. So I'm going to put my A here at the bottom. Okay, and now I'm going to go to my tonic chord, and that is going to be starting with a D, F sharp, A, and then chord 3 is F sharp, A, C sharp, and then chord 4 is G, B, D, and I'm going to have it in first root position, so you can see I have a very smooth bass line with not too many leaps. And then chord 2 is E, G, B. That will be fine if I use that in root position. And then the other part that I'm going to quickly just harmonize as a whole is my cadential 6/4. Because, as you know, 2 of the voices will remain on the same pitch while 2 will descend stepwise. Okay, so one of them that descends stepwise obviously is the F sharp to the E. Okay, so chord 1 is D, F sharp, A, and it's second inversion, and because it's second inversion we're going to double the A. Okay, so second inversion and doubling the A. I am going to put the 1A over here in the tenor, and then the other one here in the bass. So these are then the 2 notes that you keep on the same pitch, and Then the two that obviously that's going to go descending is the D, which is then going to move to the C sharp. And yeah, while I'm at it, let me quickly just fill in the last chord here. Okay, so it is D, D, F, and I'm going to triple my root and omit the fifth. Okay, so there you go. I've already completed 2 bars actually. Okay, so just to get back to the bass line, so even though it's the voice with the most leaps usually, you can see it's pretty smooth, and the only time that I have big-ish leaps is over here from there to there. And like I said in the previous video, remember that you just check that your leaps aren't too big, or that you don't have mistakes. Remember, your music goes onto the next system, that you don't have crossing or too big leaps or distances between the voices. And yeah, then the other leap that I have is over there, so it's really fine. Okay, so now I'm just going to fill in the rest, and as I was going, I made sure that I don't have any parallel fifths and octaves. Okay, so at least I know that is ruled out between the bass and the soprano. Okay, so let's fill in the rest. So chord 4 is GBD. Okay, so I have G, G, B and D. Okay, and then chord 2 is E, G and B. Okay, and then chord 5 is A, C sharp E, okay, and then chord 1 is D, F sharp A, so I've got D, D, I'm going to put my F sharp there, I'm going to triple my root there again, and then I have chord 3 is F sharp, and C there, okay, and then chord 4 is G, B, D. I want to come a bit, maybe a bit lower here in the alto, so I'm going to triple, no, I'm going to have a unison there, so my doubling is there in the bass, so it's G, B, D, and that's perfect. I don't have any parallels, okay, good, and then it's E, E, G, B, E, G, B, okay, okay, and that is basically it. And now I'm just going to, I'm not going to check for parallel fifths and octaves now, because I was mindful of it while I was writing this. I hope there aren't any. Maybe I missed one, but I trust that it's fine. So then just to get back to your instructions. So correct this, my notation is fine, my spacing is fine, my voice leading is really fine. I always try and move to the closest chord note. And then, of course, my chord progression is fine. and I already checked that in the previous video clip, and I've got the correct cadences. So there, I don't know, maybe the examiner doesn't like something about your voice leading. You might lose 1 mark there, but I think mine is actually pretty good. And then the quality, so musicality, I think that is fine. And then non-chordal notes, that's something that I'm going to add now. Awareness of style, I think this is quite singable and appropriate for a choir or for vocal voices. Okay, and then creativity, yeah, there's not a lot that you can do here, but the non-chordals, the use of the non-chordals will make up for that. And then use of the cadential 6/4 passing progression. So I've got one cadential 6/4, which is fine. You also don't want to overcrowd things. And then I've got one passing progression. I couldn't use a leading tone progression. I think if I look at the music, no, there wasn't a place where I could use it. Okay, so you don't need to feel that you have to use everything. Okay, rather keep it simple than overcrowding the music with a lot of notes, because then you also run the risk of making more mistakes. Okay, so lastly, I'm just going to add 1 or 2 non-chordal notes. So because my voice leading is quite good and I don't have big leaps, mostly stepwise movement, I don't have a lot of places where I can use them, but let's just quickly see. I can use a passing note there, but I would like to try, and it won't be wrong to use it there, but I don't want to overcrowd anything. Let the sopranos have their moment of quavers there. The altos won't steal their shine. Let's see, let's quickly look for another place where I could use it. Okay, so I can put a passing note here. Just remember, when you use non-chordal notes, that they don't create any parallel fifths or octaves. Likewise, you can't fix parallel fifths and octaves by adding non-chordal notes. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to add that there, and then just one last thing. I'm so sorry, I hope the noise isn't big. My neighbor has got these 2 big fans. Okay, so let's see. Again, I can add a passing note there, but I'm not. Well, it can be nice because you're going to get contrary motion between the soprano and your tenor voice there, so it's up to you whether you want to use it. I'm not going to use it. Like I said, I don't want to overcrowd the music. One extra thing that I might want to add and demonstrate is that I know how to use a dominant quartile. Okay, so I have my chord 5 here. So of course my dominant quartile is going to be A, C sharp, E, G. So what I am going to do is I'm going to change this A into a crotchet. Okay, so let's change this into a crotchet. Okay, this is the one part where I'm going to have a bit of overcrowding, but that's fine, it's the final cadence. And there, what I do is I basically add my 7th as a passing note over there. Okay, and as you can see, my 7th resolves descending to the F sharp, and then of course the 3rd, which is my leading tone, resolves ascending to the D. And that is basically it. I trust that this helped you to see how I'm actually doing it, and all the best with harmonizing your 4-part harmonization in your exam.